What is up, everyone? The one true Sir Salty is back with another salty or sweet review. And today we are going to look at The Day Before, a new open world zombie survival shooter that's trying not to be DayZ, but more of an alarm test simulator. Open world is a generous term, as it is definitely more of an extraction shooter in a big city map. So let's dive deep into a game with no story and boring characters before you're met with your first main obstacle, the first door.
Okay.
All seriousness, I did spend about 8 to 9 minutes in the first room trying to get through the first door. It was pretty brutal. What? Could be worse, right? Like, you could be stuck trying to find an open server in this game. So as per usual, I give this game a 2-hour chance. So I'll be covering all my gripes with the game, and I'll end with some positive things to say about it. So just so we can, end on a good note, right? Before that though, what do you think? Will I be salty or sweet about it? Comment down below now with your predictions. And also, if you like some of these reviews, feel free to like and or subscribe for more. Alright, so after dealing with the door boss, you gotta deal with talking to all of the hub NPCs to just get some of the gist of the game mechanics. It's nice that they give you a little cinematic and a little bit of a rundown of what they provide for you, but it just happens to be completely and utterly ruined by other players. Seriously, had some guy's junk shoved right in front of my camera's face. So, rushing through pointless dialogue and modding your first gun, which you'd be right to assume that you'd lose in your first run, you set off. You spawned randomly around the city, which was initially interesting, as the city in games like DayZ were always asking for two things: PvP and zombies. Well, at first glance, you're gonna have to lower your standards on the amount of zombies you're gonna encounter, and you'll be likely greeted by the game's worst mechanic ever: alarms. Just listen to this. Holy all the time, everywhere. And it hurts to listen to, and you hear them from so far away. It's so intrusive on your ears. But at least if your ears are bleeding, you can kind of take out some of that aggression on some zombos, right? Truthfully, that was not even as satisfying as I would really hope it to be. Hit detection in this game was god awful. It would be several seconds after taking the shot and it would finally connect. And I was playing on the North American servers. Like, just not satisfying in the least bit. It was just awful. Trying to find loot was a little more interesting, as things definitely didn't highlight that they were lootable, so it was interesting to find what actually was lootable, and it was at least a little more interesting that way, even though looting was god-awfully slow. Also not a fan of clicking and holding a button to interact for looting and stuff. Something like looting should be very smooth and generally efficient in a game like this, not clunky and just feels janky, and all you're doing when you're doing it is you're looking behind yourself, which again also just feels odd. The process should just feel a little more streamlined at this point. And when it comes to getting away from the game, since it is an extraction based game, is getting all this sweet loot you've discovered and trying to actually take it back to an extraction point. I saw that there was maybe 1 or 2 spots, and they were ridiculously far away, and some of them were just no backpack extraction, so you couldn't take what was in your backpack, which that just feels wrong and just dirty, and truthfully just doesn't make sense for this game that you're trying to play. It's a concept that just feels off for a game that is designed and or advertised as an MMO. Like, what stats am I gaining? Why am I gaining them? And why are the NPCs just constantly trying to motivate me after I get gunned down by someone? It makes for a very confusing gameplay loop. Even the load screens aren't even overly positive, which doesn't bode well for my fragile mental state. It was definitely fun getting my first and only kill on a very helpless victim who didn't really fight back in the slightest bit. I would have enjoyed more, but when I happened upon my next victim, who I snuck up on very masterfully, I took 2 quick shots and the game crashed on me. And my game crashed. Trying to get back into the game and play just a little bit more before I really made my decision, I continued to get DC'd after DC, trying all the servers I could that weren't full, and still could not connect back to the game, possibly because my game crashed and something happened there. But after 15 minutes of trying, I just gave up on it. It's also really annoying that the fact that you have a list of full servers that you can't join and you have to scroll through all of them just to get to some that aren't full. Like, just hide the full ones. I don't want to see that. Give me a filter or something. That would have been great. I feel like this gameplay is what people were like wanting, like another cool DayZ kind of inspired, maybe Tarkov, PUBG style with zombies kind of game, but it just needs to cook a little more, or a lot more, quite a bit more actually, like a ton more probably, because as of right now the game just feels generally boring and there's a lot of things you can't do. Like, how come you have a game like this and you can't vault over anything? Like, you have this wall that you're clearly capable of getting over, but nope, can't vault. That would be great. I also noticed like a lack of dead bodies on the ground, like something that you should be able to stumble upon. You should see people, but like I would just see their little handheld maps just floating in the air, and that would be it. Like, I've just seen no traces of bodies. Really just couldn't with this game. I really couldn't after a certain point. I kind of made my guy I named my guy Hansel. He was probably the coolest thing about this game because he was so hot right now. But let's move on to some of the positives about the game. Was there any? I'd say maybe. Like, at least the ragdoll with the zombies was all right, and the game did look quite nice when I did have the graphics on higher settings. Like, it did look generally pretty good, and it was pretty cool that zombies did have some kind of dismemberment with them. Like, when you shoot them in the head, their head kind of explodes, which is kind of cool. But looks aren't anything without good gameplay and just it being generally fun, which it definitely wasn't. I'd like to say that this game does have potential, but it needs way more time to cook. And that's if the launch of this game, the early access launch, doesn't kill the game first. So yes, all in all, I was very salty about the game. Emotional damage. Was it maybe disconnecting me right when I was about to get a kill? Probably. Was it me sitting in a lot, like, in the game trying to get past a door for 10 minutes? That's also a maybe. It also boils down to, is this a game that's worth playing? And at this time I will say no, it is not. And I'll just say this without even like mentioning server issues. The shooting just doesn't feel good. It just has quite a bit of lackluster in its hit registry. There just isn't a great amount of zombies, which you're making a zombie survival game and you're just not seeing that many of them. It's kind of odd. And mostly the gameplay just isn't quite there. Like, other games have done it so much better. Just put it back in or just send it out to sea. Oh shit. I refunded the game. Do so what you want with that information. The game is just not good. Look at the Steam reviews, it's all there. And any positive review you see is either just complete BS or a meme. So just don't, okay, everyone? Just don't buy it right now. You shouldn't buy it in its current state. Wow. I'm just gonna go hug my cat and just forget that I played this today. Who would have guessed that this game would have been my first salty review? Within the first 30 seconds, I knew. So here's a list of positive negatives. Do you agree with them? Comment down below if you had any more. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care, and I will catch you on the next one.